whatever, that's going to be your page. And we can talk more about that in a moment.
Okay.
Client ID is the unique identifier for this particular OAuth application. That's this section right here, right? And then response type equals code. That means that first response you're going to get back is a code. So what happens is you create this for us, and we'll go through the process of how to create this. And then you give us that launch URI. We go into the ClassLink Launchpad environment, and we create an icon for you. And if I look for a typing agent, we've already created an icon that looks like this. And we'll come in here and we'll edit the application and put the appropriate web address that you give us, the full launch address, in here. And we then are able to assign that, or the school district assigns that application to individual users or whole groups of users or teachers or whatever.
Okay.
Then that icon shows up on their desktop. When a user clicks on that icon, it launches this location that first goes to launchpad.classlink.com OAuth 2 v2 auth. And the first thing it does is, based on this client ID, it returns a code back to your redirect URI. And that code is going to, this is what it's going to look like. So you're going to get this this location here, and you're going to see this code that comes back.
Okay.
Then you're going to take that code, and the next step is you're going to request a bearer token. So you're going to hit, let's see, you're going to hit launchpad.classlink.com. I'm sorry, you're going to hit, you're going to hit launchpad.classlink.com OAuth 2 v2 token, along with the client ID and client secret associated with your application, and that code, right? And that all goes in the body.
Okay.
And you're going to get back a bearer token that's going to look something like that. One more step. Now you're going to take the bearer token, you're going to hit nodeapi.classlink.com/v2/my/info, and you're going to put the bearer token in the header, and you're going to get back a profile that's going to look like this. And that profile is going to contain the tenant ID associated with the user that's making the assertion. It's going to contain the display name, the first name, the last name, the email address, the login ID. It's going to contain, very importantly, the sourced ID if it exists, right?
Okay.
And a few other things in the role. So what you would then do when you get this profile, you now know that this is an authorized user because you got a valid profile for him.
Right.
But you can take the combination of tenant ID and sourced ID, compare it to the data that you've already downloaded for the district from the one roster information, and land the user in the page based on, who their teachers are, what their classes are, and all that other stuff, right?
Right.
So the hard part is getting past the single sign-on environment. And probably the easiest way to test it out is to, I'm going to give you back control.
Okay.
And go into your developer console, and we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
So you should have control right now.
Okay. And let me, yep. Check that out.
Okay, so now if we go back to your developer console page. Okay, so you've already created an OAuth application, and there's that client ID, right?
Right.
The important thing, though, is the domain that is associated with it. So before we can...
It's verified.
Okay, so you're verified dev.typingagent.com and app.typingagent. That's good.
Right.
So let's go back now to manage application. And for dev.typingagent.com, if you go to the three dots on the right side, click that and do a generate authorization request.
Enter redirect URI.
And the redirect URI it's got to match the domain that it's using here. So it'll be dev.typingagent. So it'll be https://
Okay.
Just put something in there for now. It may not be coded, but we'll see what it looks like. Start with https://.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And then just hit generate. Yeah. And then do a copy.
Okay.
And we'll examine that
Oh, then you want me to paste it?
Launch URI. Yeah, you could put it up. You could make scope equals profile.
Right.
Redirect URI equals https://dev.typingagent.com.
Okay.
Scope equals profile. Client ID equals, and it has that long string associated with that particular application, and then scope equals profile. Now, if you go ahead and hit enter on this,
Mm-hmm. Oh, because I'm not logged in, it's asking me to log in.
yeah, I mean, it might ask for some information, but that's not what's important. What I want to see is, go ahead, I'm not seeing it yet, but
Okay.
don't log in yet.
Right.
Just go up to the top and then
Response
scroll
type
right.
decode.
Yeah, so are you seeing code up there?
Yeah. Type.
So that long string, right? So that's the first step in the OAuth workflow.
Okay.
So now you got a code, right?
Right.
See that long string right before the.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? And what you would do now is you would take that code and you would hit the next spot. You would hit launchpad.classroom.com /OAuth2/v2/token with that code and the client ID and client secret associated with this OAuth application from the developer console. And that would then, you'd have to do this. You can't do this from this here. You'd have to do it either from, from a REST API client or in your coding.
I understand.
But the next step, you would then get a bearer token back.
Right.
And then you would do the last step. You would send that bearer token into nodeapi.classroom.com, and you get the profile back.
Okay.
For whoever is making this assertion. So it's that three-step process. So what you've got to do is make sure that the redirect page that you've identified in your launch URI, right now it's just set to dev.typingagent.com.
Right.
You've got to make sure that that page is going to be processing this request.
Right. We got to point it to the right module.
Dev.typingagent.com /classlink/OAuth or whatever you want to call it, right?
Right. Yep, I'll work with the dev team on that. Okay, understanding how that process works and that we need to create that
so
code.
Then once you get that
helps.
profile, now this is important. Once you get that profile, let me take control back for one more second.
Okay.
And let me share my screen again here. Hold on a minute. Saw something like this that you've already pulled down. So clearly, this user, student1 at typingagent.com, is not a rostered user. This is not a real user. I just created this. But these are the users. These are all fictitious people. So if I take this Billy Flores character and I grab his sourced ID, 18125, and I copy that, and I go to your account, I can do an override and temporarily set the sourced ID that comes across in the profile to 18125 for this user.
Okay.
So I'm just going to do that temporary override. Normally, we don't have to do this because a real user is going to have a sourced ID.
Right.
But now, if I impersonate this account and I get into ClassLink, you could even log in just like this. You've got, I can give you the credentials to do this.
Okay.
But before I try to launch anything, I'm going to bring up a new tab, and I'm going to go to auth.classlink.com. And this shows the OAuth profile that would come across when the user makes an OAuth 2 assertion.
Oh, because you've already logged in. It's already got the credentials in the browser.
Right. So I impersonate this user. So now I am student 1. And if we take a look, this user ID is just a random number here. Not random, but it's an internal number that Classic uses. The tenant ID of 1356 identifies uniquely which ClassLink district this is. 1356 is the certification tenant. There's a state. Here's the display name, student 1. First name is student, last name is 1. Here's the email address, student1 at typingagent.com. Here's the login ID. Down here, the sourced ID, 18125. That's what I did the override on, right? So a real user will come across with your real sourced ID.
Right.
Now, you've already gotten this rostering data and you've stored it in some backend database someplace.
Right.
For all of the users, all of the classes, all of the courses, all of the orgs. Now, when this student clicks on your icon and you go through the 3-step process to authenticate them and you get this profile, you're going to be able to look. Now, the sourced ID is unique within the district, but not across all districts.
Right.
But the combination of tenant ID and sourced ID is unique among all ClassLink districts.
Okay.
So if you look at that tenant ID and the sourced ID, you can enter your database, say, all right, tenant ID is 1356, user is 18125. I know that this is Billy Flores.
Okay.
And I know that Billy Flores is enrolled in these 6 classes,
Mm-hmm.
and also enrolled in those 6 classes are these teachers and all that other stuff. So you can not only authenticate the user,
Mm-hmm.
but you can land them in your application if you so desire.
Right. Right. Okay. Yep. And we do put them right into their
Yep.
control center when they log in
Right.
for this. Okay. Well, that's helpful.
Yeah. So this certification tenant, by certifying you, it's not a policing activity. All we want to do is give you the opportunity to test out your launch and make sure that everything's working before we put it out in front of a real customer.
Right.
So I think you've already gotten, we've already installed the typing agent rostering application in the roster server. I think we've already done that. Let me just
we're not
check,
certified. We're getting people in, but we're not certified yet. And I want to.
Yeah,
we haven't
right,
launched to our app yet, so I wanted to
here's
go
the
through
typing
that.
agent. Yeah, this is what you've created. We've already sent you that.